All right, guys, so we are now leaving Kansas here very soon. We're on the road down to Oklahoma to where the last known coordinates was of the vehicle and a few other spots that we have marked on the map. We don't know why he was there. We don't know what the lay of the land really looks like. Today is a Sunday, so we're not expecting to get much help from the sheriff's department or anything today. We're hoping maybe to do that tomorrow. Apparently, from what I've heard, is that he was driving an Audi. I don't know exactly what model it was, but the car had slid down like a 15-foot embankment. That was then recovered by a tow company there locally. We have the name and the number of the tow company. I'll try to call them too, see if I can get any information. Maybe they have some pictures from that day. Also, the last known place that maybe he uses credit card, the detective did not tell me very much about this detail, but he did say that the last ping, maybe a credit card use, was in a town called Henrietta. I think we're gonna actually go there first if it's like along the way. I'm assuming it's not too far from where he went on this final road to where the car was left and abandoned. So maybe it's just a small town like a lot of towns around here, and maybe there's only one gas station. Maybe someone can remember something, but at least we can get a lay of the land for you guys and for us and see what we're really working with when we get down to this area. All right, guys, so we are here in Henrietta. The detective said that this was the last place Donald had shown up. When we pulled off here, this seems to be the only gas station on this whole exit right here. He was down here around the exact same time that we are here now. So at least the conditions will be kind of similar to what he encountered. Now that we're in this gas station, I wanted to go talk to somebody inside, and unfortunately they didn't work there long enough. They said maybe someone was coming back later that night. Well, we still need to get down to the river. Well, there's just a weird interaction happening, and I remember telling you, Cody, like, just film this. This is kind of interesting, where this argument was going on, and it was almost a domestic violence type argument that kind of made me nervous, and I wanted you to pay attention to it in case it spilled over. You might want to film that.
Get away from me! You're fucking shit, dude.
So I was kind of paying attention to this argument right next to our vehicle, and eventually they ended up leaving, and it was not a big deal. It was just a weird vibe in that gas station, and it might just have been a bad first impression of Henrietta, but we saw that it was definitely not anti-Trump, which I felt this whole area probably is not. Let's say you say, fuck Trump in this gas station. What do you think is going to happen? I mean, it could have been just a simple thing. I mean, you got a guy that'll talk to anybody. He may have been lost. He may have come back through this way because this is the way he came as a kid, you know? I mean, that's my best guess, is like, why would he come down this way to get to that town unless this is an old way through? So we leave that gas station, and I'm looking on the map, and then I noticed there's like a boys camp there. And I'm thinking, I've always thought maybe this was an area Donald went to when he was younger. You definitely see what that was like, really the last place to really get gas. Like a boys club up that way it was, like Tiger Mountain something. It was just pretty creepy. I mean, look at how eerie this is, this road here. He's going in on a dirt road. What are you doing down here, Donald? And we know that he said that he was going to be going up to maybe Hoffman. Maybe some people were an old cemetery up there. Maybe some family was buried there. We've heard political arguments in town of Great Bend. Whenever I've asked, like, why would he come here? Both stories have started with he got into an argument and they were political based. And then next thing you know, we haven't tied it together as to why he would be down here, you know, this late in the afternoon, got gas at Henrietta, gets off this exit. My only thought too is, like, this might have been an old way into that town of Hoffman. Maybe this was the main road. We're going to get up in here. I think there was a bridge up here. So, you know, that's probably condemned and whatnot from what we heard. So maybe we can find that out. The wrecker company that came and drug out the car, and they could give us a good lay of the land too. It's just maybe locals, you know, if there's crimes that happen, do they ditch cars down there all the time? You know, if he got into someone at a gas station, just random, and he's just down here doing some own adventure that he's on innocently, I've always thought if he got hurt being the age that he is and the mouth that he had, like how he would communicate, how he would talk to everybody, and you talk to the wrong people in the wrong place at the wrong time, I think something could have happened. Maybe he got out of the gas station and started a conversation with somebody, and maybe he's still fresh on this conversation about this political thing that he got in an argument with, you know, days prior in Great Bend, and he talked to the wrong guy. And, you know, I mean, you're in the wrong neighborhood, shit goes sideways. You know, you're an old guy, you get hurt, you get killed, an accident or on purpose, it could really change the whole course of what the hell is going on. So, I don't know, maybe we'll find something. So let's drive in here right now while we got some daylight and see what we see. Maybe get the drone up, take a look at that too.
Yep.
All right.
We'll go as far as we can.
Yeah. Interesting, you know. And a local would know where to go. Like this is off the normal maps of where people are driving. What do these signs say? That says private property. Get into that rougher stuff that we thought it might get into. At least it's not muddy. I've said it before, but I mean, look how different this, you know, when you're thinking he went missing, you know, you probably would imagine a little less vegetated area similar to Great Bend, you know? We're really deep in the trees in here. You know, this has got like local feel written all over it. Like only a local would come down here, maybe to get to the river. You know, like knows this area because of the river and fishing, you know, maybe coming down here drinking as a kid. Yeah, I mean, we're assuming it was muddy because we saw the river that day, but I mean, who knows? Yikes. And this might be why they said you don't come down here. Now I really get like when they're saying it was impassable. It was just crazy to think anybody would ever try to drive down this. I thought maybe he shot off this in the middle of the night. Maybe he came in hot and didn't realize what he was driving into, and that's why he went down in there and was so committed. A lot of the details I had heard were starting to be very clear at this point. Whole area floods. I'd say about a quarter mile in, it gets real muggy and swampy. We're starting to really see how terrible this road is. It's not a road anymore. There's literally like a marshland that's basically eroding a mile to 2 miles of this area from below the bridge and above the bridge. Now we got to go all the way up in there. I'm assuming the bridge is going to be right up there past that dark area. So we're pushing on. We're sloshing through the mud, and we got up to the bridge. All right, guys, so we just got in here to the bridge. It's about eighth of a mile, half a mile at least, quarter mile of walking through the water where it's washed out back there. You can easily see if you were, I don't know, man, in your 70s, exhausted, tired, anything goes wrong up here, you're not getting out. And I don't know how long the car was in here, to how long somebody found it. We did see tracks, you know, fresh tracks where people walk in here. Maybe they're hunting. I saw a lot of deer. You know, there's raccoon and all that stuff in here too. But, you know, maybe they hunt in here. We did see some 30-06 shells. We saw some 45 shells. I really, really think that he got in here, was so stubborn and thought, it's just up here. When he put his mind to something, there was nothing, it wasn't gonna stop him. Even if it was ridiculous and ludicrous, you know, in his life, he probably had a lot of people tell him that. And then he would just push through, and then he was successful and he figured it out. He was a genius. But when it came to real life situations, probably got him in trouble. We thought maybe foul play, maybe something happened and he got dumped off in here. But if his tracks really did lead up there, we'll find that out soon, where we're gonna go here. Nobody would have drug him in here. They would have seen that they had drug him in here. They would have seen the extra footprints. That would have been very suspicious. So just past the bridge, we got up there and thought, are we gonna keep pushing on? The sun was really dipping. We didn't know how much sun we were gonna have and how long it was gonna take to get back to the vehicle. We really didn't wanna walk out in pitch black at night. But when I looked up past the bridge, it was like completely impassable. Like nothing had really gone through there. It was very deep and it was so overwhelming. We both agreed, let's just hike back out and maybe we'll come up from the north tomorrow and see what that journey is like from Hoffman down to the bridge. All right, guys, we are in Okmulgee, we have pulled up here to the sheriff's station. They were the ones leading the investigation and the ones that had done the search for Donald Walters down on the river there. So we're hoping they can fill in some details that we have missing in our story and in our timeline, and really see if they can help us out right now. So we decided to go to the Okmulgee Police Department and try to talk to some of the detectives there. We quickly found out the 2 detectives that worked on the case were no longer there, and the new detective was not in. So that unfortunately didn't help us out at all. We didn't get to talk to anybody. So we decided to go to Hoffman. Driving into Hoffman, we drove past the bridge that we saw on the news. The bridge is almost identical to the bridge that is abandoned on that main road. Hoffman is a very interesting old town. There is absolutely no gas stations. There's no jobs there. It's a town kind of forgotten. There is the cemetery there. We really wanted to see if we could find out anything from the cemetery, maybe go try to find some of the names that we had found that were in Donald Walters' family. We looked it up online and we didn't see any of his names. We didn't see Walters. Now, he could have a family member that may have been buried there that had a different last name, a cousin, things of that nature, but we were unable to find anything like that. We talked to a few locals and they all remember the police and the fire and everybody coming in for a week or more. You guys remember there was a guy that went missing down over the bridge
Yeah, I remember that.
a year ago.
Yeah, I remember that, man.
Were they down here for like a week looking for him and stuff?
Yeah, they had the police down there and
Right, dogs and stuff.
yeah, helicopters.
Did you ever hear about like where the car was located and all that? Like it
They
was
said
like,
they found his paperwork on the bridge. I haven't heard nothing since.
you know how long ago that road went out of use? Like, did they decommission that bridge or something? And
Oh, I don't know. Since I've been here,
Yeah,
I don't know.
never.
I don't go over there.
yeah. So after speaking to some of the locals there, you know, we went to find the start of the road there. It's called South 300 Road. It was pretty difficult. It was very overgrown and it was more like a trailhead is what we were looking for at this point. Nobody drives down there. Maybe a quad, maybe a motorcycle. I did see a lot of horse track where people maybe ride their horse back in there. Maybe they walk in and hunt certain times of the year, but it was not an area that it was frequently traveled. You would never know that there was a road there. It was extremely overgrown. So we pulled the car down in through the bushes and got suited up and ready for that north end trek that we had been preparing for. This is the old abandoned road that we are going to come in from the north side. You can barely see it. I mean, there's not many people walking down in here. Even locals don't even come in here, you can tell. So I think we're just going to leave the truck here and we're just going to walk in. Hopefully it's not as bad as the south side of the bridge was. We don't have to get that through that deep water, but we're a little more prepared today. As soon as we walk up through this area, the vegetation breaks. We can see where the road needs to go. Quickly, we realized this was waist-high water and we were going to be walking through a pond, basically a marsh, for at least a couple miles all the way to the bridge. It was completely unpassable. Was not looking forward to getting wet today. I don't think these are long enough. Despite all that, we decided to still push on. We didn't care, you know, that we were unprepared, and the road that once was this area was now cracked and broken asphalt. So it was very sharp and jagged in a lot of areas, and then it would go to very deep mud in a lot of areas. And after about a mile, we just decided there's no way we can keep going. We know we're not going to be finding Donald on this journey. We're not going to stumble on him, and we're not prepared to do that in any shape or form. We just want to get a lay of the land and get a feel of what it was like down there, and 1000% we did. We realized this is not the place to get lost. This is not the place to get hurt. This is not the place to have anything go wrong, especially if you're 75 years old at 135 pounds. The environment is going to overtake you. It's insanely difficult just to walk, and to imagine finding somebody in this area, needle in a haystack doesn't even come close. It's incredible in here. When you're talking about getting lost in a swamp, this is exactly what they're talking about. All right, guys, so we're still in the town of Okmulgee, Oklahoma. We are now going to see if we can just talk to somebody at the EMS department. The guys, we have a couple names there, and the chief, and then after that we're going to try to go back to the sheriff's department and see if we can talk to the lead detective that got assigned this case. And then after that we're going to head down to the record company that actually pulled the vehicle, the Audi, off of that road. So those are the three things we're really trying to do here today before we head back to Arizona. Hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Basically, I wanted to just do a follow-up and talk to you guys and see if you had any details or anything that you remembered. You said you looked for days.
It was over a week. We had one crew the first night. They rode the trail walk, followed it from the south end all the way into the north through Hoffman. Next day, we had Civil Air Patrol come out. We put one gentleman up in a paraglider. He flew it, never found anything. Ran the river with sonar, cadaver dogs. We had another team from Task Force 1, which is up in Tulsa. Pretty much all the way around, it was just turning up dead ends.
Right. Somebody said that he kind of made an impression at the Henrietta gas station. Had you heard that?
Everywhere. There were several people that he had stopped and talked to. It's almost like he was telling his life story, you know.
You think the only way his body would have got out of there was through the river? You know?
There's this big log jam that I don't think that he could have gone across.
And it was searched with a cadaver dog.
Yeah.
Never hit on anything.
So what do you think? What do you think? He's not even there? You think something else happened?
It's intriguing. Just reading about him and learning things, and then we found a biography pretty much about him. Then you sit there and start wondering, who is this man? Between his work with the military, just reading like forums and stuff that he's done online, he was knowledgeable and everything from one end of the spectrum to the other.
Yeah. So you think he got rid of? Somebody got rid of him?
I don't know if it was that or if he wanted to disappear. And that's the thing, if there's one place in this world that you want to go and never be found, it's Hoffman Bottoms.
I'll just start by saying they have a strong suspicion that he didn't die down there. They want to come out and say it, but they got a lot of county issues in here. And then they were just like done with it. The car go, don't see nothing, let it go. You know, where they would have held it. Like maybe these guys would have held it, or definitely Great Bend guy. He talked about holding the items and everything else. But they're just like, if he was down there, we should have found him by now. They didn't really have tracks to follow. I did get a couple pictures of their side-by-side stuck down there that day. Their gut instinct, they were kind of running that scenario, was he knew a lot, and maybe he wanted to be done with, or somebody wanted him to be done with and wanted him gone. I still have a hard time with that theory, you know, that somebody of his age, the government caring because he's talking to people in town, you know, maybe he made the internet, but he didn't say anything on the, you know what I mean? So I don't know, I just don't see that as a plausible scenario, because in those scenarios, everything you research and find is like, you gotta be talking to somebody, you gotta be leaking information to somebody that could be detrimental to our government, right? And leaking secrets. Him going around talking about that he's a special agent and he's a 5-star general and he worked with laser systems and he knows things. Well, yeah, but I mean, that's all easily dispelled. Like, you're not telling anybody that can use that information to hurt the government. I think if they were that sensitive, we have a lot more scenarios like this. And we have a whole division designed to get rid of people if they're in that state of mind, Alzheimer's, dementia, and they are talking too much. That seems like a Hollywood scenario to me. That doesn't seem like it's based in reality. So just left the Okmulgee Sheriff's Department. The detective that I was talking to just now didn't really have that much detailed information. I basically have all the information that he has that I've found. At this point, he's pointed us to McIntosh County Sheriff's Department. They were actually the ones lead on the actual case. So we're going to head down there now. We're also going to stop off at the wrecker company where they had actually pulled the vehicle out and the ones that impounded the vehicle. So maybe, you know, they'll be open and maybe they have some pictures of that day. So that's what we're going to try to go do right now. We pulled the wrecking company. Not much was going on, but quickly we found the main guy in charge and sat down. And just like every single person in the town, just like every single person on this journey, as soon as I brought up, we're here investigating a missing person. His name is Donald Walters. They immediately know what we're talking about. A year ago, you guys did a recovery on an Audi.
North of Tiger Mountain?
Yes, north of Tiger Mountain. You know that one. So that part where it's all washed out, I mean, he must have bombed down that.
He ripped every under panel. I mean, there was a string of plastic from the base of the mountain to where it stopped. Yeah, he was probably 200 yards south of the bridge.
Okay, so you got pretty far.
Oh yeah, he had
As well.
5 boxes in the back seat of all of his military records and 30, 40. I mailed it back to a neighbor in Great Bend, yeah. But there was personal effects. I mean, there were some shoes stuck in the mud where you see where he slipped out of his shoes. To the east, over on the east tree line, was parts of the car that you could see the water flow had taken and pushed up against the trees.
I asked him, did you have any pictures or anything of that day? And he did. These pictures really told me a lot about that struggle that Donald was under when he was stuck down there. You can see his nice leather. He's in such a desperate situation. It was just a complete and total mud mess in there. It just gets you to know how desperate he was kind of getting and how fed up or how exhausted he was, that he didn't even care how well kept it was going to be after this event if he could get unstuck out of there. Unfortunately, we don't know how much was disturbed by the people that found it. He has got a lot of debris in the front seat. He's got this bag that might be a charging bag. I don't know, maybe a cable for something. You can see the jack. That's actually a jack on the front seat as well. Then you look at the vehicle facing towards us, and then you see it looks like a couple maps, you know, that he might have been using to navigate around there. We really don't know what those were. One thing that they did find in the vehicle were boxes full of his family's history and genealogy. I had this thing in my mind about why did Donald go there? Why are you going down there? Is it just a manic episode that you just took you on this journey? But now seeing these pictures and seeing all this stuff brought back some memories of the research that I had done, and that his mother worked at the Historical Society in Great Bend. And then I thought, oh, he had a friend that worked at the Historical Society that had just passed away as well. And it made me think, like, maybe somebody that works at the Historical Society would remember Donald, but maybe he was like on a journey, like a history journey, and he went down there for some family genealogy, some family history. We had heard that he went down there to maybe go to a cemetery to maybe find some old family members that were buried there. And it just kind of dawned on me, let's call the Historical Society in Great Bend. So we did.
Martin County Historical Society.
I'm looking for somebody who knew Donald Walters.
Yes.
His.
I know who he is, yeah.
Okay, yeah, and his mother actually worked there for a long time. She passed away 5-6 years ago, I think.
Yes.
I'm actually just looking to see if I could talk to anybody about the last conversations that everybody had said is that he actually had a good friend that worked there, and it just seems like the last part of his life before he went missing might have tied back to something at the Historical Society, that he was on some hunt to try to find some more military history or something that might be related to him and his family. Does that ring a bell at all to you?
Well, what I heard, or what I know of, is the last thing that he was looking for was to get some equipment for ham radio type of stuff.
Oh, okay. I know he was really into the ham radio stuff.
Right, yeah. He had went to an auction in Oklahoma or something, somewhere like that, and had... and then he was coming back from that, and that's when he disappeared.
Oh, he went to an auction.
Well, he went to something in Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not sure exactly what it was.
Okay.
Like a show or something, and was looking for some equipment. And I know it was something that he did want to use in a display here, but
that makes a lot of
we have never
sense.
gotten that far.
Well, in his vehicle, I found out that he had a lot of pictures of his family and his genealogy, a lot of his history and all that stuff. And it just seemed like, you know, if you knew Donald, he was very into something, he was going to do it. And there was not much that was going to stop him.
Oh, yeah.
And we had seen that where he was going. We had heard all these rumors, right? And now we're finally getting to kind of what it was. And that makes a lot of sense. So if he was doing something out this way with I know he was a big history buff. I know his family was very into that and military stuff. And he was in the military himself for a long time. That makes a lot of sense that maybe he was doing something like that. After hanging up with Leslie, she was great to talk to and really filled in the final thoughts that I've been having. You know, well, let's finish it off. Maybe the sheriffs down here will seal this thing up and give us a little bit more information. All right. So, basically, they're saying, oh, yeah, she didn't even have it in her system. She didn't have Donald Walters in her system. So they were basically just kind of running on loaned out their task force on it. And then that was it. So I got the name of the guy that's going to be calling. So maybe if I don't hear back from him, I'll call him. But interesting. It was like, oh, yeah, he's on the other side of the county line, not on our county line. And that might be accurate. And the guy that I talked to, Okmulgee, might be wrong because he really wasn't on scene. He's just been assigned the task, but it's not his original call. So he was just reading something and interpreted it another way and kind of get rid of me. You know, just don't know anything, so just send him over there. We'll wait to hear back from them. I'm sure it'll be a runaround if they call me. I think we got what we needed.
All right.
So, all right. Head back to Arizona. Following these leads it was quite an undertaking, something I'd never done before. I'd never dug deep into looking for anybody, let alone somebody that I'd met in a 10-minute span a year ago and trying to find out what happened to him. It was quite the journey that we went on. And what you guys see is a true reflection of the timeline and the hardships, the ups and downs that we really went on trying to figure out what happened to Donald Walters. After getting off the phone with her, it really all came to me that Donald might have been on a mental break at the time, but to me, he was on a historical mission. He went down there to find out more about his family. We know Donald was a very driven, passionate person when it came to something that he cared about. His family was a critical piece with Jack Killaby and his childhood and loaning him a ham radio and getting him turned on to electronics, and he eventually won the Nobel Prize for creating the microchip. And Donald was probably inspired a little bit by Jack and some other people in his family and the military stuff, and he decided to serve his country and work for the military for his entire life. And he probably worked on a lot of things that were very classified. He may have been a 2-star general. If he's working on these types of things, he's not allowed to talk about it. He could probably talk to his family about it. Probably not supposed to tell them everything, but he could probably talk to them about it. And if he talked to anybody else, in essence, he was breaking the law, you know, and breaking his government contract that he had signed. And at this point in his life, at the end of his life at 75 years old, it's a tough pill to swallow to think that you did all these things maybe for your country, that you served your country, that you had this really important job, and the people that knew you at your job and where you spent most of your life in California are no longer around you. They're no longer people you can go sit and have a drink with and talk about these things that you did together, or have dinner with them and reminisce. He's unfortunately detached from his family now. He's divorced and he moved back to the town that he grew up in, but he hadn't been in that town for a long time. Him and Bill were really good childhood friends, and just like really great friends, you know, he got back in town and sparked it right back up with him. It doesn't matter how old you are. And those types of friends, you just become friends again. And that was like really his friend. And this other woman that he had met in town that unfortunately passed away too, seemed like another good friend of his. And he has all these things inside of him, and all this pride in his family and even in himself. We all have that. We have that. We're all born with a little bit of narcissism, some more than others. And it's not a bad thing, but it's like you want to let people know that you're a special person. You want to let them know, you want to brag a little bit sometimes. You want to let people know, yeah, I did that. Yeah, I used to be a spy. And maybe some of it's trumped up, maybe some of it's real. But if you imagine your whole life never really being able to talk to anybody, and the ones that you could talk to, you're not around them anymore. But I do think he was on a historical mission at the end of his life. And I think he was going down there to find more history, more things that he could leave a legacy. He could leave something behind to show his accomplishments in life, and maybe finally make his family proud. Maybe show them, you know, I wasn't the greatest dad or husband or whatever happened at the end, but like, I still want you to know that like I was an important person, and that your dad was somebody you can be proud of at some point in your life later on, or tell your my grandkids about, and have it be something you talk about. I think everybody wants that. Nobody wants to just die alone. We live our life, we do some important things, and then it's over. That sounds horrible. That just sounds like a terrible way to end your life. And I think he was struggling with mental health issues. He probably knew he was struggling with mental health issues. He obviously knew he was struggling with mental health issues. It might have scared him, and he wanted to figure out as much as he could about his family and ham radios, and maybe find some more ham radios that were something that he could play with or use or display or bring back to his historical society in Great Bend. That's really what I think he was doing. He was just trying to leave a legacy. He didn't want to go out as this crazy old guy in town and that be the end of it. And then our history just fades away and nobody remembers you. That just sounds like a horrible thing to think about at the end of your life. And guys, just in the end here, we feel like family, friends, Bill, even us, we want to know what happened. It feels very left open and an open-ended book still, even at this point. We think we know why he went down there. We think we know probably what happened, but he's still missing. So we've decided to form a group to go look for him. There's an area that I feel strongly that he's in. This month we are going back. On the 26th, we will be there, and we want your help. Follow the link on the description below. We'll be able to direct you, and you'll be able to sign up. If I can get 10 people out there, fantastic. If I get 50 people out there, even better. We at least owe that to him at this point. To him, his family, closure, for all the things that we're doing here. We owe it to him to look one more time and see if we can find him. Hey guys, I noticed that most of the views that I get on this channel are from non-subscribers. If you guys could just subscribe and hit the notification button, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for watching.